Welcome to Back to the Heart. Today, I am joined by Garreth Spencer, a guest from the new community of coaches that I recently joined at Enlifted. Garreth is here to share his incredible journey that many of you might resonate with, especially when it comes to addiction and feeling stuck. We are talking about anything that might be holding you back from living your best life, whether it's that morning cup of coffee or something more extreme. Let's dive in and hear how Garreth got to where he is now. As I continue to stress how important community is, I have recently joined a new community. It's a lifted coaches community, and I have a wonderful guest from that community, Mr. Garreth Spencer, who is here today and is going to share a little bit about his journey with a little connection to parts of my journey, which you guys will hear, specifically related to addiction. If you're listening now, you're probably resonating with this already. And maybe there's something in your life that you are addicted to or don't want to admit or say the words out loud, that you are addicted to something, regardless of what it is. It could even be that morning cup of coffee. If there's something keeping you feeling stuck and not progressing with living the best life you want to live. Garrett, tell us a little bit about your journey and how you got to where you are now.
Yeah, definitely. I appreciate the introduction. It's great to be here. First podcast, so this is exciting for sure. My story, it starts with a lot of addiction and escapism behavior. I have a picture of myself like 5 or 6 with a controller in my hand, just cheesing at the camera. I started video games at a very young age. By the time I was 14, I had gotten into cigarettes and alcohol. Right when I turned 15, I started doing cocaine and crack, and it was this progressive downward spiral that was keeping me stuck. A few decades of bouncing between drugs, alcohol, and video games, was searching everywhere to figure out what was going on, like why I didn't want to be in this position for sure. Like I would numb out, and then there would be these moments of clarity in my life where I'm like, what the hell am I doing? Why do I feel so bad? And I would just, a lot of the times ignore it and then go back into going to the bars, getting blacked out, or spending all my money on drugs. When I didn't have money, I'd be playing video games for 10 hours a day. It was 2.5 decades in that mindset, really struggling and not finding a way out. And then I joined the Enlifted community and learned the tech to really understand what my story was, what my internal story that I was portraying to myself. After that, it was a whole new game. I released the shadows that I had, the unprocessed emotional content and limiting beliefs and the programming that I was living with.
What was that story you were telling yourself that was leading you to do all those things?
Yeah, I would say it was a few things, some childhood stuff. Mom worked night shift and 3 jobs to keep me and my brothers, fed and with a roof over our house. So it was, to me, it was, and nothing against my parents. What was done had to be done. But to me as a little kid, it was like there's some abandonment issues, which now I'm grateful for. I wouldn't be where I am now. Right. So there was that, there was a few breakups that hurt. There was just didn't know what to gravitated towards numbing and escaping my own feelings and emotions. It wasn't so much a physical dependency as it was unconsciously numbing and not really knowing why.
An emotional dependency to an extent,
So
a
it was
coping mechanism.
yeah. So it was stories like that where it was actual experiences, but then also there was the layer of me being so hard on myself that I was in this situation, me telling myself that I was never going to be able to change. I'm already too far into it. I haven't developed skills to to make something of myself. And that of itself was keeping me chained to where I was in my own reality.
So was there something specific that happened that was that breaking point that you were like, I gotta do something different?
And it was many,
Yeah.
there was many of those through high school. It was going to school sped up and drunk, and then going to the parties and really getting attention through shock value. At some point, I learned in my life that I wasn't getting the attention I wanted. So I found out if I was a rebel, I mean, it started when I was 14. I'd already gotten arrested 3 times and went through teen court. I was getting a lot of attention then, and it wasn't a conscious thing when I'm 14, like, oh, this is how I get attention. It was an unconscious thing, but I was looking back on it, I was getting a lot of attention. And that led into my teenage years in high school of sleeping through all my classes and not caring about the educational system. I was doing weird wacko shit, going to parties and just being blackout drunk. This went into my 20s to where I was like, oh, I could change my behavior because I'm an adult now. I could go, you know, so I would still, I got into a very depressed state and then would stay home and drink. And still go to the bars, play a lot of video games, but I was much more calm. I wasn't really seeking that kind of just chaotic attention anymore. It was just numbing out. At that point, it was just like
Yeah.
drink enough to just be like almost like a zombie.
Yeah. Well, your body was seeking comfort, and that was what it was comfortable with because that's what it was used to. Our bodies become accustomed to what we do to them all the time, even if it's not very healthy. It still becomes accustomed to those things and starts putting up those boundaries. Probably a lot of brain fog and a vicious circle of trying to numb out from feeling the feelings and then not even being able to identify what those feelings are once you clear the fog of identifying, well, what are those feelings? So, when did you stop drinking or the drugs or the games or whatever? When did that happen? How did
Yeah,
that start?
it was a slow process of me understanding that it's me telling the stories and releasing the stuff. I didn't have much guidance in addiction recovery, but I had guidance in understanding how to construct my language and my stories to feel better. It was a slow process of me learning how to release the addictions, knowing what I knew through story work.
This
A
is all still very recent in the last few years. You
couple of
really
years.
made
Yeah.
this whole change in your life.
It has been a 180 through about 5 or 6 months transition of going from
Yeah.
just going to the bar, getting out of work, going straight to the bar and drinking until the bar closed, or
Yeah.
going home and playing video games. It was these incremental moments of just like, at one point, I felt really good inside myself. I went from feeling shit in drinking to feeling really good in drinking. I was like, man, this is wild. I feel good while I'm doing this. And that's when I caught myself like, whoa, I understand how I get out. I have the information and this tech that I used on myself to clear emotional baggage and the programming and the thoughts, and I'm still drinking. And when it clicked, I'm just going to quit now. I know what to do. I'm just going to get out. I just worked on a few of my own limiting beliefs that I had about myself needing to be out and drinking. I was still going out, but I wasn't drinking. I was hanging out with everybody. I was much more outgoing. Instead of running the program from being a child, because we're in theta brainwave state when we're children, we're a sponge. And everything we get taught from the big people carries out into the rest of our life. So I learned how to remove that programming and then create my own. I was able to go out and enjoy myself and be very social. I was much more outgoing than when I was drinking. Part of a transition period of learning how to feel much better within myself and then deciding, okay, I'm done with the drugs and alcohol and the video games. So it's been a few years since I played video games. I will still drink maybe once every 3 months as a celebration. There's not this emotional or mental pull to these vices anymore. And that's really when you can look at them for what they are. If you want to go out and celebrate, once in a great while. Like, hey, my brother's getting married and it's been 5 months since I had a drink. Sure, I'll have a few shots and celebrate with my friends. There's a big difference between going out to a social setting and getting this immense pull. There's so much contradiction and restriction within yourself. You're getting this emotional and mental pull towards these things to where most people won't even go out. I did that for a long time where I isolated myself in my house because I thought it was my environment. I thought it was the people around me influencing me to want to drink. And so there's a big difference between getting this emotional and mental pull and then sitting back, solidified within yourself, seeing what's going on, and then deciding, no, I'm not going to drink, or yes, I'm going to drink, whatever it is. There's a big difference between those two.
Yeah, I think going back to the whole words thing is when we hear the words can't, like I can't drink or I can't whatever, then it just has this icky feeling inside. It makes you feel like you're not able or capable. You don't have permission. Like someone's telling you, and no one is telling you. So being able to say that I am making a choice and I choose not to is completely different than I can't. When we say those words can't, it puts this feeling into your body that makes it even more difficult to actually follow through. Nobody wants to be told that you can't do anything.
Right.
I have a friend, she was like, tell me I can't and I'll show you I will. Like, that's her thing. It's like, don't tell me I can't do something. So I appreciate you bringing that up, that it was your choice. I think that's so important because we have a choice in everything, every day. Some days there's going to be challenging moments. This morning it was one of those days and woke up with this weird frustration or anger. And I'm like, I don't like the way this feels inside my body. I'm going to make a choice. I can keep with that and just have a shit day, or I can think, I don't want to feel this way. So, what are the things on my list that I can do to actively change and shift my energy in my whole day? Getting outside, doing some grounding, the
Totally.
gym. But, like a dinner, I came home, did my own thing, a shower, had a little smoke, bring me back into the Mama showed me the way and I'm back in and like, okay, I made that choice.
Well,
Like I'm back in and I'm refocused.
thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Back to that feeling, the feeling like the body keeps the score, and these emotions that arise, even the addictions and the numbing and these behaviors. There was a while where I had quit everything and I was just like, man, I loved it. But I went and grabbed 3 jobs and I was so busy that I couldn't even think or feel. Right. So it manifests as many different ways, and the body keeps the score. These things are messengers showing you what is in the unconscious, where the shadow is. You put your awareness into your body is highly intelligent. We put our awareness into the body and we ask questions, and you see where the root of these things are. So essentially, these things happening in the exterior world and within ourselves, if we get triggered by anything or wake up in a bad mood, they're messengers showing us where there is some stagnant energy within. We ask questions, get to the root of it, and then release it.
And it's okay to feel that way and allowing yourself to feel it. But then, okay, I'm going to make a decision to change the space. And what can I learn from this? I love that. Let's dive into more of what you're doing now with the whole samurai thing. Like,
Yeah,
I don't even
yeah,
know how to get an introduction in there. So I'll
totally,
just toss it to you because it's so
totally.
interesting to me.
Yeah. So I'm training up samurais. I'm training up warriors. The battle is no longer in the fields fighting each other. The battle now is inside. It's the internal garden, the mind restraints, the stories we have, the things that trigger us. It's inside. It's not so much outside anymore until we can release and get centered and solidified within ourselves. We can start helping other people more efficiently. What I'm doing now is teaching men how to, I call it the shadow blade. and going into the unconscious where these shadows are. So Carl Jung has this very famous quote, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you'll call it fate, which is, for mind, only 5 to 10% of it is the conscious awareness. And the rest, 90%, is the unconscious part of which holds repressed emotions and traumas, the patterning, the programs, pretty much running our autonomic behavior, the automatic parts of ourselves. We'll find ourselves being guided to certain things, and it's a pattern in our life. Most of these things, the root is in the unconscious. When we're in distraction, numbing and escaping, and just being so emotionally bottled up, we've got all this emotional baggage. We've got problems with family and business. All of these things stem from the unconscious mind. I see them as orbs of stagnant energy structured in place because of the meaning we put behind those stories, those memories, those limiting beliefs, the things that are keeping us stuck in one spot. That's a contradiction from what you actually want. Like your heart, you want to move into the life that you desire. And then we've got these shadows that are pulling the levers on us making gains and moving towards what we really want. Training up warriors of the mind, we can slash through these chains that are keeping us stuck so that we can sit in the heart and feel more into the body and live a life from compassion and being there for your people, being there for the people around you. And it really starts with you becoming more connected with yourself. We have a lot of mental stories and programs that are pushing our energy and focus outside of ourselves. And that's where all of our attention, all of our energy is going. And when you can release those, get emotional space and clarity, and also use your language to view them in a different way, all that energy comes back within you, centered and solidified. You decide where your energy goes and where your attention goes. Your body, your heart knows what it wants to do. It's just we've got these mental games going on in the mind too.
Yeah, we've let all of those experiences as a child, relationships, jobs, interaction with the neighbor, with the asshole on the interstate, whatever it is, all these experiences and labels that we've got around us. And you add in all the toxicity, our environment, and things that we're eating and the things that we're exposed to. And then the ease and availability to numb out regardless of what that is. It could be at the gym, and some people want to think like, but well, it is good for your body and better than drinking a 12 pack a day, whatever maybe. But
Yeah,
it's like anything that is distracting you from yourself and from really sitting in a safe space of stillness, getting back to your heart and getting back to yourself and being able to be at peace within yourself is just another self-imposed roadblock to get to where you really want it.
definitely. Definitely. And a lot of it does come down to the nervous system and tension in the body. Our thought patterns create tension in the body. The more tension you have, the more you're in the fight or flight scenario where all of your blood is going to the extremities. Evolved to be aware of danger. We're not so much in danger anymore, but the body doesn't really know that.
Our mind is telling us that we're in
Yeah.
danger,
So
danger of stress or heartbreak or frustration or disappointment, not being eaten by a tiger.
totally. And yeah, the body and the mind reflect each other. The more that we put substances, working out at the gym every day, doing way more than you actually need to raise up the cortisol, it'll put us into very stressful thought patterns too. When we understand how to use the mind to release all of that stress in the body and just relax and feel into your body, it changes the whole game. You walk around with grace. You're calm and energized.
Yeah.
And yeah, so with the samurai stuff, I'm calling it Shadowland Samurai, where I train warriors to release the stuff and get centered and get into the heart, live from the heart. These video games and the excessive porn use and the drugs and alcohol, these are all distractions, and it influences other aspects of our lives. There was a long time for me specifically where I wasn't close with the people that loved me. I was very isolated within myself. As soon as I trained in the shadow blade, I became much within just a couple months. I wouldn't talk to my mother. It would be like once every 3 months. And for my dad, it's like once every 8 months or something. And now it's like talk to my mother a couple times a week and my dad once a week. I'm so much closer in relations to my friends and just the way I communicate and relate with people, especially the video games and the porn. A lot of guys are doing this nowadays. A lot of young men, the video games are really taking away the resources that they could be using on themselves to up level in relating with people and developing skills for creating an even better life for themselves. Because you can dream all day until you take action. It's hard to get stuff going in the 3D realm. I'm also teaching guys about the excessive use of porn, releasing your sexual energy, because that energy is what creates aliveness within the body. It's the creative force that we have. It helps create a whole human being. So, like, if you think about that, that is life giving. This energy is life giving. And if we are looking outside of ourselves and releasing that, then all of that life giving and creative potential goes outside of ourselves instead of using it to heal the body and create better solutions, creative solutions, and thoughts to create a better life. In my research of the sexual energy and Qigong, which is an ancient Chinese movement system of really synchronizing the breath and the movements, it cultivates internal energy. The energy moves through your body. The sexual energy for men, especially now when we get taught to release it, it's meant to be cultivated in the lower centers, in the lower part of your body, and then moved through the body so that you can feel this energy. And it's hard for guys in the beginning of knowing what this energy is actually used for. It's really used to bring up into the heart so you feel magnetic and charismatic and compassionate with the people around you, and then also up into the mind to receive wisdom and guidance and have creative thoughts. And this energy just makes you feel very alive within your body. I know when I was younger and in all of these addictions, that was a major part of my journey as well. I just felt I lived in a depleted state constantly. A lot of guys will resonate with this when they hear it. That's one of the major reasons causing social anxiety and depression. The opposite of depression is creation. If you don't have that creative energy within yourself, and you do become depressed. It's hard to communicate. It's like you haven't cultivated your energy so that you feel embodied to really flow into conversations and flow within your life.
Well, it's that connection, right? That energy was designed to create a connection with someone, to create life. So when it's being released, so to speak, without connection, right, is a whole different level of just wasted energy.
Yeah. And in an intimate sense, when you are with a partner, that creates oxytocin, which when you're not with a partner and you're looking at a screen, it's like your body gets excited, like, oh, we're making love or whatever we're doing. And then it's done. It's almost like your body gets pissed. Like, what the heck? Didn't
Yeah.
create any connection with somebody.
It's like the second part of the process is missing. So your
Mhm.
body gets confused with, wait a minute, that's not supposed to be the end.
Totally. Totally. Yeah.
There's supposed to be another part here.
Yeah, and this energy is also like a magnet. It's like glue. That's why in an intimate relationship, you get so yes, I mean, obviously the heart based, and also when you start having this kind of interaction brings you even closer. You can move that throughout your body and refine this raw sexual energy into your heart, your mind, your work, and relationships to magnetize things to you. Whatever you start doing, you start putting creation, you start putting life force into that thing, more intention into that thing. And yeah, and get going on the outside, releasing it becomes a life of living in a depleted state for sure. Also creates weird sexual bonds with technology. Like there's guys out there now that will see a closed laptop and start getting aroused because they've done this so much throughout their life. It's also creating a lot of ED for young. There's 20-year-olds with ED because of
Really?
because of the behaviors, because of these
Yeah.
shadows, because of this need to numb and escape, knowing that there's shadows in the unconscious that are holding a lot of our energy and creating the programs telling us that we can't get out of these behaviors.
And it's a vicious circle, regardless of whether it's any kind of addiction, whether it be porn or alcohol, where there's this sense of shame that adds a whole extra layer of feeling stuck. I don't know what to do. I can't get out of it. How can this stop? How can I get out of the circle? And then added to it is that shame and judgment from anybody else around you, which is judgment of yourself. Every time you think someone around you is judging you, and maybe they are, who knows? If you
Right.
believe that they're judging you in any capacity, then you're ultimately judging yourself in that moment. So it's like getting to that root cause of understanding that this isn't me. This isn't who I am. This isn't who I want to be. So I have the opportunity to make a choice to get back to my heart, to get back to who I really want to be for myself. And then that spreads to anybody else around you, whether that's family or partner or your purpose in life.
I know a lot of people are experiencing the shame aspect of being in an addiction and wanting to get out. That's the half of the coin right there. Feeling these shameful emotions, and then that's what's keeping us stuck in the past. Releasing the mental
Mhm.
noise that's keeping us chained to the past or worried about the future. Getting present within the body and understanding, viewing, okay, my life is going in this direction. Let's
Yeah.
integrate that into our conscious awareness so we get more vitality, more energy, and then we can and choose the actions that we take instead of being compelled and this compulsive behavior to numb or get emotional reactions within ourselves of shame to keep us in the cycle, just as you said, this cycle.
You can get to a point where that choice is taken away from you and it's demanded either by some drug that's laced with something else or drunk driving to hurt somebody you love when you're in this space. Oftentimes a health issue because when these emotions get trapped in our bodies and we create these coping mechanisms, defense mechanisms that are these compulsory activities that are detrimental to our physical and emotional, psychological well being, then sometimes these things come to us and you're forced to make a change, right? Because you nearly die, or someone dies, or something extreme ends up happening. And then it doesn't feel like a choice anymore. And it's much more difficult to climb up that hill. It's not impossible, but it just makes it a lot more challenging, like you're backed into a corner, and now I have to make a choice. I have to do something.
Totally. Yeah. There's people definitely get those wake up calls. And yeah, I just want to say you do not have to hit rock bottom before you start changing your life around.
Right?
Really getting the help, getting the guidance on closing that time gap of being your best self and shedding these addictions, distractions.
Yeah, and the biggest thing is to know that people aren't alone. I appreciate that we're having this open and full conversation because there are people listening that this is resonating with, all connected. We've all got some variation of the same shit that we're dealing with, regardless of what that thing is. Sharing our stories and knowing that there is an opportunity for change. There are resources available. There are communities to help you with this. There are other people that, you're doing what you're doing because you live the shit. This isn't just like you went and you're like, hey, let me study on how to be this. Like, lived it. You know what I mean? And that's where I am too. It's like all the different experiences that we've had in this lifetime and possibly others is influencing who we are in this moment. So it's beautiful to have this opportunity to have all these different resources that are available. And when people are ready to make that choice or forced into it, either way, it's available. You're not alone. There are specific men working with men. If that's where your safe space is, there is opportunity for growth and help out there.
I would say that these experiences that we go through, I see them as Earth School. This is the training grounds. And these experiences, like you're going through them so that you can learn from them and then help other people through them. These difficulties that we're in, it's an opportunity to grow from it and develop skills so we can help the people around us that are going through similar situations. So that's something that I have thought about quite a bit and started using. It's been a while now, but really, if you're in a difficult time, put your hand on your heart and say, I'm all that I am. You're in this position. And yes, there's past stuff. And yes, there's stuff you're worrying about the future. Knowing the present moment and where you are right now, you get to choose. I have these options. I have these resources. There's some stuff holding me back from the past. I am all that I am. I'm learning. I'm growing. This is an experience to grow from. It's all about doing the healing within.
And now I get to meet all these amazing people and so many different people like yourself to get to learn from and get to learn from me too. So we're all just sharing parts of our journey. And that's the really cool thing, knowing that we're not alone. And regardless of what dirty shit we feel like we have in our suitcase, there's a way to get rid of it and move
Totally.
forward. We can't be open to receive anything new if we're carrying your old bags of shit. You got to sit something different at some point, regardless of what that is. If it's anger, animosity towards an ex partner, porn addiction, or overeating, it could be anything that's distracting you from living your free, whole self. It's empowering to get back to a place to change those stories, think about our thinking, and be able to love ourselves again.
I realized in my journey, distractions and numbing, I was trying to fill a void. I was
Yeah.
reaching on the external to feel better, to fill this void, emptiness. It was aspects of ourselves that we put into the unconscious, which is actually parts of ourselves. When we don't have that energy in the body, in the conscious awareness, it's somewhere else. That's part of us. And once you get that back, you start filling up your own self. You feel full within yourself. So you don't need to reach out to the external world to fill this void anymore.
Yeah. And shadows don't have to be something we're afraid of because
Absolutely.
shadows aren't a bad thing. You wouldn't see the shadow without the light, right? There is no dark without the light, and it's all a balance. So it's nothing to be ashamed of, to be afraid of.
I feel very blessed and grateful, available for people that are going through
Yeah.
something similar to something that I did. And there's a very practical and simple way of really becoming whole and shedding these things that
Yeah.
we try to fill up with externally.
But there's somebody out there listening to this episode and this resonated with them, men specifically, or female that has a special man in their life, or somebody thinks this might be something they want to hear more about and explore what it means to find that warrior within yourself and to get back to your heart, love yourself again, love your life, and not feel that drive to numb out or escape. What do you recommend them do? Where can they find you?
Yeah, totally. I have an Instagram page, Storywork Alchemy. Anybody, any guy that's listening that has a self critic that's the volume's turned way up, struggling with addiction, and or any women that have, their man is playing video games. I come across this a lot of women not knowing what to do with their man is coming home from work and playing video games until 1 in the morning, and then going to sleep and waking up for work. And, they're not there for the children, for the house, not there for her. that's becoming more of a problem nowadays as well. So if any women are hearing this, it's an opportunity to introduce this to your man to help him get through this and become more at ease and whole within himself so he can show up better for the work he does and for the family.
That's true.
Yeah.
And to recognize that it's not something to judge their
Totally.
partner for doing. It's a coping mechanism for them. Yes, they do have a choice, but ultimately, everybody has to be on their own path and at their own time. There are resources available, but just being open to support. So thanks, Gareth, for sharing your journey and all the cool things that you're offering to help men and women as well. Thank you for joining us today for Back to the Heart.
Totally. I greatly appreciate you having me on here. Thank you.
Wow, what an incredible journey we got to hear today from Gareth. Remember that your biggest battle is internal. True transformation begins when you confront your own unconscious patterns and limiting beliefs. Choice empowers you. You have the power to choose your path rather than being compelled by old habits or external influences. Energy cultivation is key. Harnessing your inner life force, including sexual energy, can lead to greater creativity, connection, and a feeling of aliveness. And lastly, you are not alone. Many people struggle with similar challenges, and resources and communities are available to help you heal and grow. So comment below what resonated most with you today in Garrett's story. And if this episode touched you, share with someone who might benefit.